are just 24 hours away from the next GOP presidential debate and what is sure to be another night the entire nation will be talking about for days to come. What it won't be is a repeat of the spectacle we saw on CNBC the other week, and some of the headlines are already pointing that out. Here's one from Politico. For debate, Fox Business aims to be the anti-CNBC. From the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Journal-Sentinel, Fox Business moderators pledge real debate in Milwaukee for GOP candidates. And Reuters, Fox Business plan for U.S. Republican debates stick to money issues. So what can we expect? We are so pleased to be joined now by two of the moderators of the 9 p.m. debate tomorrow. Fox Business managing editor Neil Cavuto, also host of Your World here on FNC, and Maria Bartiromo, host of Mornings with Maria on FBN. We're delighted to have you with us. I don't know if this is a 5 debut for you both, but we have very high expectations, Neil, for you there today. Everybody's very excited. Set the scene for us. How are things going in Milwaukee?
I think very well so far. Have you tried any local cuisine?
No, but I heard that there's a really good Italian restaurant.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if you can go my kielbasa with garlic, but as of yet, I've not done that. But give me time. But they could not be more hospitable. They could not be more friendly. They could not be more welcome.
And what about the candidates? Have you seen any of them?
We've been prepreparing and really sort of getting ready and sharpening our questions. But, I think it's the worst kept secret, Neil, that we're going to stick to the issues.
Yeah, I think one of the things we hear from a lot of people is, and I don't know if Maria's but everyone has an idea. I mean, I ran into someone at the hotel as I was coming in early this morning. Here's what you got to do. Someone who was working just as security here at the front of this building said, don't forget to get to the bottom of what's going on with ISIS. And if I had a dime for everyone who had a good idea with a good question, all unsolicited, well, I'd have a lot of dimes. So everyone is interested in this. They're very much engaged in this. I just think it's a sign of the times. You could argue it's because of the prior debate. I think it's just people really jazzed about this whole race, this election, and everything else.
Yeah, and I also think it's because you're seeing an economy that is moving 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
Right.
And people are angry. That's why you see these outsiders in the lead. People want change. They want to know where the jobs are. And when are they going to start seeing a move in their salary?
All right, we're going to take it around the table. Eric Bolling.
So, hey, guys, it dawned on me that we all did our undergraduate work at CNBC, and we're doing our PhD at Fox Business. So I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, what are the right questions? You don't want to do the old, is that a clown candidacy or what? So the debt is important. Jobs are important. The economy is important. I'm sure every candidate out there is going to have a great answer for whatever you ask them about those great questions you were going to ask them. There's one that keeps recurring as I show up on the Business Network is the oil prices. Now, I'm familiar with the oil prices, but some people say that low oil prices are fantastic for the economy. Other people say it's bad for the economy because all the jobs in the oil sector, it may drive production away from America, too. Not a bad question for every one of the candidates to say, is a low oil price good or bad for the economy, and why? Your thoughts?
I didn't have that one. Did you have that one? The oil one? No, but you raise a very good point.
Yes.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, it cuts both ways, right? I mean, we're making a big deal about the president rejecting Keystone, but as you know better than many, that whole pipeline was going nowhere fast with a lot of the people who were first behind it because it's now gotten so low in the price of oil that it's really counter and costs production not to do it. In other words, there is something saying how low prices can go. We've learned, I think, in the markets, we were right, that, yeah, we like the lower gas prices, but if they get really low, there's a disproportionate effect on the markets and the economy.
Yeah, and I think the question that you're asking, Eric, is do low oil prices dictate an economy? Or do low oil prices tell you what an economy is doing? And I would say low oil prices tell you what an economy is doing, because so far we've been waiting for consumers to spend all that money that they saved at the gasoline pump, and they haven't. Why? Because they have been watching other costs in their lives, like the Affordable Care Act. You may have saved $100 at the gas pump, but you just had to pay another $100 for your health coverage for your family. And I would argue that just because oil prices are lower does not tell you that an economy is going to get better. In fact, it tells you that China is weakening, the emerging markets are weakening, and this is a picture of a weakening global story and its impact on the United States.
And Eric, the irony is here, the oil prices are as low as they are because with fracking and other ways of extracting this stuff from our own lands here.
Here's what I want to know. Are they listening to your analysis here? Because you're hitting on all the points that they're going to have to make tomorrow night. So you're on.
Well,
it.
no,
I don't want to give it away.
No, I don't want to give it away because I had the question all planned. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you like to be? So I could easily veer into that if you want.
Shorts or boxers?
My
Exactly.
favorite answer to that question, KG, before we go to your question was Barbara Walters asked 43 in 2000, Governor Bush, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? And he said, I'm not a tree. I'm a bush. Very good answer.
That's a good one.
All right,
That's
KG.
always out there. That's always out there for Jeb if he needs it. But go ahead.
That's a good one. All right. Hi, Maria. Hi, Neil. It's Kimberly. Maria, great interviews this weekend. I really enjoyed the Rubio one, Carly. So we're going to see what they can do on the stage at the debate tomorrow night with you. But I think one of the biggest concerns and criticisms that we've heard, regardless of the platform, is about time allocation and making sure that each of the candidates is able to get to the substantive issues so the voters can make real decisions, yes, about what they would do with the economy and with taxes and regulation. What is your plan for making sure, especially since the stage is now cut down a little bit in terms of the number of candidates will be up there, to make sure everybody gets sort of their equal time?
Well, we're making sure that they are getting their equal time just by looking at the questions and looking at who gets what. Also, remember that Fox changed the guidelines to give candidates 90 seconds to answer the question rather than 60 seconds. So you would expect that the candidates feel better, that they have the necessary amount of time to actually explain
and
some
if someone
of these
has
complex
mentioned,
issues.
someone has mentioned the 60-second response rather than 30 seconds. In other words, a little bit more time to let things breathe, to hear what others have to say. In other words, I think what Maria and I have concluded, and it's something we believe, and we've done this before, is that we're not the story. We're not the debate. The people on that stage of the debate, we want to facilitate the debate. But this isn't about us. It's asking about clear, focused questions, but not the kind of questions that have a snide tone to them. Let the candidates react to the issue at hand. All I know is that some of my most memorable, some prior debates has been not so much those who moderated, but the responses they got. We don't remember the guy who asked Ronald Reagan whether he's too old to be president. We do remember Reagan's response that he wouldn't hold his opponent's age and inexperience against him. So someone asked that question that facilitated that answer. That's what we do. We're not the story. They are.
That's not always true, though. We know that there are some moderators that you remember very well, like from the 2012 election, but we shall not name that person. Tom Shillue.
Yes. Guys, I love the 90 seconds because the longer the better. The closer we get to Lincoln Douglas, the better. They had 90 minutes to respond. It's unbelievable how shortened we've gotten in our attention span. But I don't like when candidates fight with the moderators, and I assume there's going to be less of that going on here. But I like when they fight with each other. Are you going to allow them to go at each other?
Well, we're certainly going to allow them to have an opportunity to distinguish their plan from the next guy or gal. I mean, that is inherent in the fact that we're giving more time and comparing the different tax plans and economic plans to create jobs. So we will be able to help voters distinguish one plan from the other. And whether that's a fight is another
I know.
question.
And to give CNBC its due here, I think that there are sometimes you could ask a tough question, and if some candidates are frazzled enough, anxious enough about declining donor support, declining poll support, they're going to reach out and scratch out. And I think if Mother Teresa were alive and asking questions, she would be subject to the same sort of rip response because they're so angry. So we're prepared for that. But it's not about us, and it's not about the questions we ask. Although I do want to try something novel with this debate and just have the moderators fight with themselves, just for the hell of it, just to see what people at home do.
That'd be great. Juan.
That was a joke.
That'd be like the five.
Roger Ailes is watching that. That was a joke.
No, but seriously, I think one thing that we
know,
learned from these past debates, one thing that's been very clear is that we need to remember why we do these debates. And it's about the voter. It's about the viewer, helping the viewer better understand each candidate's plans and better distinguish the differences.
All right, Juan Williams.
Well, now last time when I was watching that CNBC thing, they had someone sing the Star Spangled Banner out of the box. So are you guys going to have someone sing or say the pledge? What are you going to do?
I am. I'm doing it.
You're doing that? I
have a great voice. That's the Italian part of me. I mean, but I'm doing an operatic version.
You
But
do
yes.
opera. That's right.
Yeah, thank you. There you
Wow,
go.
that and a little Italian food. But now I understand you have a bell. You guys are going to use a bell. Is it going to be like clang, or is it going to be like the doorbell? Remember Fox used the doorbell once
I
and
think
set
it's
off
like
all
the
the
first
dogs?
debate, right?
Yeah,
What they used in the first
soft
debate.
bell.
Well,
what do you think this is, Juan? The Gong Show?
well, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's exactly what he thinks.
I'm going to watch tomorrow.
Right.
But here's the thing that really caught my attention over the weekend was all the debate about winnowing or culling the field. So you're going to have 8 people on the stage, right? No Christie,
Right.
no Huckabee. What's been the response from the candidates as you're talking to them? Do they say great, or do they say, we don't think you should have done that, Fox News?
Well, Christie's in the 7 o'clock debate, and,
Right.
and Chris Christie has been saying, look, I'll debate wherever you want me to debate.
That's right.
And you know, based on the guidelines, he's now in the 7 o'clock debate. So he will have his due.
And you could argue in that debate, I mean, with fewer people and more time to get your point across, that he's a very skilled debater, and he could quite properly point to momentum he's getting in New Hampshire, and the fact that that one video where he was talking about Republicans and how they should look at those with addictions, that's gone viral. So I think it's way too early to say anyone is helped or hurt by a positioning in a debate. This isn't the be-all and end-all, although this particular debate is the be-all and end-all. but having said that,
Game changer.
having said that, I think it's very important to let the candidates take an opportunity here and see how far they can run with it. Enough rope, as they say, to run with or hang themselves. And I think we've learned from the Carly Arenas that given that opening venue, you can capitalize on that. And we've learned from those who are very, very popular that venue can also hurt you. So it really depends on how each and every one of them take advantage of that. It's just not up to us to sort of pigeonhole where they are or make any snide comments, or let people who are watching at home snidely conclude how they stand.
Yeah.
Well, we
trust
trust in Maria, and we trust in you, Neil. Good luck.
Yes, thank you both for joining
Notice how
us.
he said he trusts you first.
Oh, gosh.
He said, I trust Maria.
Ladies
yeah.
first.
And by the way, Neil.
Neil.
Duly noted, Juan.
Neil,
Duly
what do
noted.
I have to do to show my love, brother? Please.
You have to let me
Okay, all right.
tease.